It's day 5. Day 1 was the first day we weren't able to worship together in our buildings because of the COVID-19 epidemic. It's also the first day of our national shutdown. A state of emergency has been declared, and we've been asked to stay in our own homes. As you look around, it's kind of surreal. It's a beautiful day outside, and here we are. It is what it is. Yesterday we considered the healing of Peter's mother-in-law, and I wanted to continue from that today. We're just quietly working through Matthew's Gospel. We started, I know, at an odd place in Matthew chapter 8, but it was where I was up to in my daily readings and reflections, so we're just carrying on. I often sit with these passages in prayer in the morning, and here I am now talking with you about them. So we pick up the story again at chapter 8, verse 14. Jesus has returned to Capernaum, which is his base of operations, and he is, it would seem, living in the house of Peter, with Peter's extended family, including his mother-in-law. So we pick it up again, and we're going to read those 2 verses again and finish this time at the end of verse 17. When Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and began to serve him. That evening they brought to him many who were possessed with demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word and cured all who were sick. This was to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took our infirmities and bore our diseases. There's something interesting happening here. I think it's profound. It's telling us something of the way in which Jesus heals. And it references it back to Isaiah 53. That's the passage. He took up our infirmities and bore our diseases. It's as if Jesus reaches towards each of us. As he touches us, he sucks out our sin. He sucks out our infirmities. He sucks out often those attitudes and things that we have within us that are less than useful and life-giving. The things which keep us small, which keep us held down in shame and in guilt. Jesus sucks them out. And it would seem that he takes them into himself. I think we see a clear example of this a little later in the gospel, this gospel, where Jesus is in a crowd. He's in a hurry, and he has got people pressing at him from all angles. And there's a woman who comes who has, as the old version says, an issue of blood. She has been bleeding for many years. She has sought help and relief and have found none. She is in a place of desperation. And she's heard about Jesus, she's watched him, and she thinks, if I could just touch him, I will be set free, I will be healed. And so she works her way quietly through the crowd, and she gets up close and she just manages to touch his garment. And she knows in an instant that she's healed. And Jesus also knows in an instant that something has happened. Something significant, something profound. He has felt power go from outside of himself. And so he looks around and he asks the question, who touched me? And everybody laughs. What do you mean, who touched you? There's people all around you, they're all touching you. And he says, no, somebody touched me in a in a significant way because I felt power go out from me. And the woman at this point fesses up, and Jesus affirms her in her faith and the choice that she has made, and he sends her on her way whole, healed, restored, new. It's as if, as she touched him, she transmitted her illness, her unwellness to him, and he took it upon himself. It's worth spending some time in Isaiah 53. I want to just read just 3 verses now, verses 4 through to verse 6. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. As I said, this passage is one that's worth spending time in, especially as Easter draws near. We might want to consider taking some time apart, quietening our hearts, noticing and disconnecting from all the noises around us. And as I've been here trying to talk, I've had a few that are on the edges of my consciousness, of people coming in and banging doors and putting water in and starting up kettles, and the dog scratching at the door and wanting to be set free. We all have noises and things that clamour for our attention, inviting us to simply notice them and let them go. The busyness of our own hearts as the stray thoughts wander in, and we think about the things that need doing or the things that we remember that we haven't done, and to just notice them and to quietly lay them aside. Imagine God gazing upon us with affection, and then inviting and allowing God to minister to us. Be present. I want to invite you to be present, perhaps with your Bible in your lap open at Isaiah 53. Sit quietly. Read and pray. Reflect upon the words and phrases. Meditate upon them, allowing them to cycle through your consciousness and allowing the words and their meaning to soak into your beings. Do it slowly. Don't be in a hurry. After all, where else do you need to be today? So just allow yourself to come into this place of openness to God, and to God quietly speaking into your hearts as you reflect, as you meditate, as you just allow the words to soak deeper and deeper into who you are. Finally, I want to remind each of us that we are called into this life-giving relationship with God, with Jesus, for more than just our own sake. Jesus invites us to love one another. Remember, he says, this new commandment I give you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, so are you to love one another. And we've just been listening to how it is that he has loved us. He has taken upon himself our burdens, our sin, our distress. He's taken upon himself all the things that keep us small and weigh us down. And he's inviting us to love others in that same way. The word that is used for love in that passage which I referenced, love one another, has the sense of a self-sacrificial, self-giving love. It's a love which seeks the highest and best good of the other. Jesus invites us to love one another in that way. The reality is that we're all likely to find ourselves in situations over the coming days where Jesus' invitation needs to be ringing in our ears. Fuses will be short. Tempers will at times be frayed. People will be feeling the pressure of powerlessness. And that is significant. When there's things that we can't do, there's places that we can't go. We don't have the freedom that we imagine that is ours because we're in lockdown. And for many of us, this will be grievous and difficult. Be willing to bear the load of others and to allow others to bear our loads. There'll be times that these things actually describe us, describe what's going on in us. Allow others also the grace of being kind, of being gentle, of being supportive. Because together we can get through this. And we can get through it not just by surviving it. We can do it with grace. We can do it with life-giving energy. We can do it with a joyfulness which is gifted to us as we allow ourselves to follow the way of Jesus, the one who has and continues to take our burdens upon himself, and who invites us to share the burdens of others as opportunity presents itself. Be at peace, my friends. Allow the kindness, allow the goodness, allow the love of God to quietly settle in your hearts. Allow yourselves to hear that Allow yourselves to hear that still small voice that whispers in your heart, I love you, I love you. I always have, I always will. There's nothing that's going to change my mind about how I feel about you. Know yourselves to be held and to be secure in my love. May God bless you all. Amen.